Catholic Connection is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Welcome to Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo, keeping you connected to your faith and your world. Teresa tackles the issues of faith and culture, the pro-life message, and media awareness. And now, here's Teresa Tomeo.
And we are on the Good News Cruise, the Oasis of the Seas, Royal Caribbean. Good News Cruise 2025, our fifth annual cruise, and this cruise sold out. We have close to 1,000 passengers next year, of course. We are doing the Good News Cruise 2026, and it's going to be open not just to married couples, but to anyone interested in coming and growing in their faith. And so you can check it out at goodnewscruise.com. I want to thank EWTN for allowing me over the past 5 years, and specifically in the National Hour, where most of my interviews on the cruise are done, thanking them for the opportunity to interview our wonderful guests and to promote heavily this trip, because they know how much it means to people to come and to support their own marriages and to be with like-minded folks and just have some fun. So I want to say a big shout out to my crazy Calabrese sister, who's a foundress of EWTN, Mother Angelica. Let's give Mother Angelica a round of applause, please. Well, we are here with the speakers, and we've been interviewing several of them. Earlier in the program, we interviewed Immaculate Ilibagiza and also Father Josh Johnson, and now we're moving on to our second hour of the program this morning, and it is a Friday morning, and tomorrow we'll be departing, and it's been a great week, and it was truly exciting when I looked at the lineup and I saw that a longtime friend of mine, Sister Joseph Andrew, one of the co-founders of the Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, was going to be on with us. And she's funny, she's delightful, she's brilliant. We've spoken at conferences together. She's been on the radio show many times. And the first time I met the sisters, many, many years ago in Ann Arbor, and met them through Tom Monahan and my work at Catholic Connection, the first thing I noticed about your sisters, Sister JoJo, was their joy.
Thank you.
Joy.
Well, they better be.
So good to see you.
Who would think in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on this ship
I
would see Teresa?
Right?
I mean, really. I felt like I came home when I saw you.
Oh, it was so good to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
And Mother's here, Mother Assumpta.
Mother Assumpta is here.
And several other your sisters.
Mother Amata Veritas
yes,
and Sister Ray Michael. So, yeah, first time.
Is it first time cruise?
Yes.
So what do you think?
Oh, my gosh. I think I want to be on every next one to come.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything that really just kind of, because I know you're very interested in ecology and the ocean and you know, oceanography and the life and the what kind of struck you in terms of being on this ship on the high seas?
You know, the funny thing is, the thing that struck me the most is we're moving on water. That excites me to no end. So I'm constantly out on our little deck there, just watching it and praying my rosary and thinking, having taught marine biology for a number of years, I'm like, I think I know what's underneath us. Oh my gosh, it's just overwhelming. I never thought I'd be on top of any of it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
You mentioned before the show that you would be interested in doing snorkeling and scuba diving. Are you going to look into that?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I don't think I can until heaven because we wear these habits, you see, which are absolutely
Wait a minute! Don't they make one that's waterproof? Could you put a wetsuit over that? It might work. You know,
friends of mine have said that they would assure me that if I would do it, they would come up with something. But I'm not sure I'd get the permission. And we have this thing called obedience.
Yeah, that's that thing.
That's another step that I'd have to go through. I'm not sure.
It is fascinating though, because Deacon Dom and I got certified as scuba divers many years ago. Yeah, many years ago for my 40th birthday, so like 100 years ago or something, right? But
so much
it was fun, and we found that scuba diving was much easier once you get in the water with all the equipment than snorkeling, because snorkeling you're flopping around and the waves are coming and hitting you in the head, but once you're under the water,
go down deep. That's the only way
but
to
the
do
first
it.
time, you would love this because of your background. The first time we went scuba diving after we were certified, we were in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, how gorgeous.
And I was talking to Tom Monahan's new bride, Marianne, and she was telling me that, and she's an avid diver and snorkeler, and she was telling me that she thinks the Great Barrier Reef and also the Cayman Islands are the most beautiful places to dive. And the first experience that Deacon Dom and I had, when we were just certified basic scuba diving, and we're down about 20 feet, and we saw this piece of coral. It was one piece of coral in the middle of the Caribbean. And I started to cry. Tears of wonder started to roll down my eyes. It wasn't the salt water. It was the and I'm looking at this and I'm saying to God, this is one section of coral in this huge ocean, and around that piece of coral there were so many different fish,
yes,
and so many different life forms,
yes,
and so many different colors. And that was our first dive, and we just saw that, and I just like, okay, a dozen fish would have been fine, Lord, but here you have all these, and it just gives you, in addition to being here for people who are celebrating marriage, Chris Stefanik, who was our pre-night speaker, who was awesome, talked about regaining the wonder, right?
We pick unknown, we just pick a card every Epiphany, and it has different virtues or different aspects of the Catholic life, the Christian life. And the one that I picked right before I left to come here was wonder. I know, and I thought, this.
And then
you're
sitting there listening to his talk. That's a coincidence, as I say.
I agree.
Right?
I totally agree.
All right. So, first, I want to ask you about what you're going to share with the group here, and then also more about your role now in the Sisters of Mary and the importance of vocation. So, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff this morning.
That's a lot.
Okay. All right. So, what are you sharing with our peeps here?
It's going to be about marriage. How do you like that?
Really?
Everybody's been asking me this, and that's the only thing that I'm giving them, because they're going to have to get off the island, Labadee,
yeah.
to get there at 1:30 to hear me.
Well, I think that won't be a problem, right? Right? People will come to hear Sister.
If I give them a sneak preview. Yeah, so no, you're just going to have to wait for the big...
Oh, come on. You're old enough to remember this. Father Josh isn't, because I asked him. He didn't know who she was. But remember Connie Chung and Newt Gingrich's mom?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, just between you and me?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Just tell me, just give us a...
Vaguely.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
Just get a little tease, as we say in the biz.
Uh-huh.
Marriage.
Just a little tease.
Just a little tease.
Well, I'm going to start out with an allegory, which I think is fascinating. So you have to come to hear it. And then I'm going to go into some of the differences in men and women and who the greatest marriage is, Mary and St. Joseph.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to go from a bit of levity to some depth and then pretty deep. At least that's my interpretation of it.
It sounds amazing. And so appreciate you being here.
I can't wait. I have to wait to the last day, and I am not a patient person. I'm like, God, you knew. Make me wait to the very end. Well, that means y'all have to too. But anyway,
that means you get to enjoy the beauty more and just reflect and your role now with the sisters.
Okay.
Because you're one of the original co-founders.
Yes.
And what does the Lord have you doing now?
Well, at this point, so for 24 years, I was vocation director, and the community has grown and grown and grown. So now we're from the four originals in 1997 to about 100.
Sounds like a group, the four originals.
I like that. Yeah. So we're about 135 now, and the average age is like 30, 31, something like that. So God has blessed us with a lot of vocations.
Yeah.
So then we had a chapter, and Mother Amata Veritas is the new Mother Superior, replacing Mother Assumpta, and then Sister Mary Michael is her vicaress, and then a new council with Mother. So that meant when Mother Amata Veritas came to see me, and she has a new vocation director, I said, well, what is it that you would like of me? And she said, I want you to be our Eucharistic and Marian speaker.
Ooh.
And I know, I just kind of burst into tears and said, oh my gosh, if that's what you wanted me, that thrills me to absolutely no end. So I go with Mother Assumpta as my companion, and sometimes she gives talks too, all over the United States and beyond, giving these parish retreats mainly. So it's like 3 retreats, 3 talks, 1 hour each evening. And there 2 are on the Eucharist, and 1 is on Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. And get to meet so many wonderful, wonderful people, Teresa, you'd love it.
I would love it.
You've got your own radio program.
Yeah, and speaking and TV and all that good stuff. I think God calls us to our gifts, right? Our vocations and what He gives in us in our spirit. I want to talk a little bit about seeking a vocation and discerning a vocation, having gone through formation and discernment with my husband as a deacon. And it's not an easy process. No. It's a very long process, the discernment process. Talk about the discernment for the Sisters of Mary.
It's so unique for every single person. So, girls can know it younger, and sometimes that remains, or they can sometimes think that they know it younger. So in our schools, we will have young women that will, of course, be interested. And then as they get more so into later high school or college, they see that these guys are very appealing too. I just don't understand all this. I'm just saying. So sometimes that can be a bit of a distraction. But then it's a good thing. I always appreciated a young woman who had dated some, so she knew, which one of the two was pulling her heart the most. Because our life, as beautiful as it is, and the same with marriage, they're both beautiful, and they can be idealized in a very romantic setting. Both of them can. That's not real reality. And so what I would work with them to do mainly is to say, where can you give the most of yourself as the gift of yourself? Which vocation is calling you to that depth of gift of self? That's the one God's calling you to. And they don't sit, and I said not necessarily in the sense of a sacrifice, like you're gritting your teeth and getting through it, but in the sense of the joy you are receiving by this gift of self. And so it's kind of another way of looking at it to say, well, gosh, they're both beautiful, but which one really is me? In the depths of my heart, which one will fulfill me? And I always thought, well, gosh, I'd love to get married, but I'd have to have about 4 or 5 guys. And so that was not going to be my vocation, and I thought, and I have to rotate them, you know what I mean?
Well, not in the Catholic faith anyway. Elsewhere it might work, but not in the Catholic faith. But so how do you, it's, that old question, I'm sure you get this all the time, right, with women who come to you, is how do you know, is there I kind of, not that I know the answer to it, but being with my husband and going through that whole process, there's a point where you are getting that this is for you, right?
I don't think you can really get that if you make the decision and you are accepted by the community, and those are two, as you said, they can be longer processes or they can be very involved processes. But if both seem to work and you actually enter a religious community, or at least ours for sure, you still don't know that this really is your vocation until you've been through formation. And how do you respond to the life itself? Because, again, you really don't know it. I mean, the same thing with marriage. You really don't know marriage until you're in the middle of it all. Whereas the difference is we can say before we make vows, this isn't my vocation. I thought it was. Maybe it's for my daughters someday, Or the other thing is so we make vows, first of all, for 2 years, and then we make them for 3 years. And so at the end of those 2 times, the young woman would be able to leave if she and her formators just said this just is not working out. So that determination could be out there before final vows. After final vows, it would be like marriage. Like this is the rest of
because you're married. You're married to Christ in the church.
Exactly. Exactly. So at that point, she should know because she's lived the life 8 years. So that's a pretty good amount of time to try to figure this whole thing out.
We're talking with Sister Joseph Andrew. I call her Sister JoJo. We've known each other for many years. Their order, the Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, based in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and just amazing educators and just beautiful sisters and so joyful. Now, what you do is so amazing. Your sisters were on Oprah, and there was so much interest after that. There's still so much interest. What is it, and I've met many of your sisters throughout the world in Rome and elsewhere, what is it about your order in particular, Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, that brings so many young women knocking on your doors and asking, I need to look into this? What do you think it is?
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. I think it's a lot of things. First of all, I would have to say I think God willed this community in existence, and He wills it to continue. And, it's like I saw on a pro-life sign at a pro-life march at some point in time. Every birthday means God wants life to continue.
Amen.
And I think about that with every young woman that enters. God wants the community to continue. And so in answer to your question, one of the first things that I think of is that we're Dominicans. Now, there's many different beautiful communities. I was taught by another community. I knew that was not it for me. And part of the reason is because I'm so gung-ho on what I love and believe, I have to sometimes have a balance act in my own life. And I knew that early on, and the Dominican spirituality is very balanced, like our logo is truth, and so we go for that. But the balance, Dominic will pull us back when we get one-sided. And it's easy to get one-sided. And most people kind of want to get one-sided. I mean, it's easy to go after a cause with all we have. Well, if the cause is God, then wonderful. But there can be other sub-causes that we don't even necessarily realize in our own makeup and our history and other things. And so the Dominican spirituality is always calling us to come back to a balance. Because as St. Thomas Aquinas, the great Dominican theologian, said, that truth lies in the middle, that it's easy to go on a pendulum. Okay, so I'm going to fast and not eat anything. Oh, that didn't work out. I'm about to die. I'm going to eat every donut I can find anywhere. Well, that ain't going to work out either. And so the pendulum eventually comes back to the middle, and we learn the very difficult virtue, and it's the less glowing, in a sense, for ourselves and for others, of a healthy balance.
Yeah.
And I think that's where God is so found. You look at the Eucharist, and he could have made himself shine into the dark in every monstrance, or he could have made himself, so there's just so many different things, but he's just there every time we look at that simple host. He's there. And so I think he teaches us, and again, when he walked the earth, he was working miracles and everything else, and people were still saying, well, who in the world is that? And how do we know by which power? So never did he push it. You have to make a gift of self.
Right.
A self.
It has to be. It has to be between you and God. We're going to take a quick break. I could talk to you forever.
I know.
It's crazy. This is great stuff. Isn't she amazing? Sister Joseph Andrew, one of the co-founders of the Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, joining us on our Friday morning special edition of our Good News Cruise Catholic Connection. And we are on the Oasis of the Seas for the 5th annual Good News Cruise. Let's give Sister and everyone a round of applause. We'll be right back.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I went to Las Vegas years and years ago for one of these cable shows. And I was shocked to see all these old ladies in their 70s and 80s getting off that plane, running for a slot machine. You don't have a chance to win. They're all fixed. I know, my uncle used to have slot machines.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Do you have a teenager at home who's full of potential? Too often the world is telling you to be content with mediocrity instead of raising respectful and responsible young adults with strong character. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Ray. If you need some help, not only to navigate those teen years, but to really enjoy them, check out my book, Standing Strong, Good Discipline Makes Great Teens, as well as my other books on the store page at AveMariaRadio.net.
People ask how they can care for older family members who can't fully care for themselves. One answer is Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care. Visiting Angels assists adults nationwide with 600 locations to continue living at home and not have to move into a nursing home. Their caregivers provide assistance in hygiene, meals, and light housework. Services are provided up to 24 hours per day, and you can select your caregiver before service begins. More information, including franchise opportunities, is on the web at visitingangels.com.
I told you it would go by quickly. You get the two of us together, right?
It's going faster than ship is. I just don't know about the speed of lightning here.
Sister Joseph Andrew, one of our beautiful speakers on the Good News Marriage Cruise 2025, goodnewscruise.com. We still have a few cabins left for Good News Cruise 2026. Not many. We're almost sold out.
They better grab them.
You know what's going to happen next year? I don't know if you know this, Sister JoJo, but because we're going to have the whole ship. I am working because we had T's Dance Party that opened up the cruise this week, which was a blast. Everybody have a good time at T's Dance Party? I'm going to see if Mr. John Hale can help me organize the world's largest Catholic conga line.
Oh.
Around the ship. What do you think?
Count us in.
I love Jesus. Yes, yes. I love Jesus. Yes, yes. What do you think?
I think you should definitely lead it.
I think we'll be leading it. We were talking about vocations with the Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, and of course you're speaking with us this week about marriage. You talked about the balance, and do you think that you have that balance, which I think is the church is always balanced. The church always gives us balance, and the teachings are so beautiful, and the saints give us that.
Yes.
And that's what I love about this cruise is because there's balance. We're dancing, we can do the zip line, you can go out and lay on the beach, and then you have Mass, you have the Rosary. So there's a beautiful combination, because what I love so much about being Catholic is that the Catholic faith embodies everything of who we are. We're not just spirits floating around, we have a soul. But because of the Incarnation, the body is very important, and God didn't create this for a form of entertainment for himself. He loved us so much that he gave his only son, but he also gave us the world, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So there's a balance in that as well, enjoying life. That's what you guys are so joyful. I have never seen one of your sisters, as my father used to say, with a fungi face or a mushroom face on, right?
Again, they better not.
But do you think and the interest continues to grow, but what I've noticed in the last few years, because the world, and Immaculate brought this up in our interview last hour, the world has gone so, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs that people are looking, they're searching. I just found out, I forgot to tell you this, Sister, Monsignor Chuck and John told me this story, that this broke today, that the Rosary podcast is now the #1 podcast in the world.
Oh, isn't that incredible?
Surpassing Joe Rogan.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
Wins. That is fantastic.
Father Mark Mary, who actually was on Catholic Connection a couple months ago talking about it. So people have that longing. Because St. Augustine, our hearts are not rested until they rest in thee. Right?
And that's where there is so much emptiness and loneliness and crime and everything else. Everybody is seeking a false high. The only high you're ever going to get is when you get to heaven.
Right.
And then you're with God, and you should live that here on earth. And again, I think why are our sisters so joyful? Because we have so much time for prayer, honestly. And then anytime we're together, we just have fun. We just laugh and have fun, and we help carry each other's burdens. Community life, if lived well, just as marriage life, if lived well, is a beautiful gift to help us balance our joys and our sorrows and just be in the real reality of life.
You've moved in a lot of different directions in addition to education and the amazing videos that you do on the virtues, and obviously that's part of your work and the work you do with EWTN, which is going on for many, many years. But you've also got involved, it's been a while, but if people don't know, in music.
Oh, yes,
and
we
CDs.
love music. Oh,
you guys are like
music.
Real rock stars. I'm serious.
Yes. Our Christmas midnight masses and masses all through the octave, and we have every instrument. The sisters are singing pitches I didn't even know exist. I cannot begin to do any of it, but, so I'll play the organ and keep my mouth shut. Can you imagine? Yeah, that's a better way for me. But they're just beautiful, and we have produced a number of CDs and albums, and they just kind of come natural to us because we've been blessed with a lot of good talent.
Yeah, the voices
and
are beautiful.
love it.
But that's attractive to people because it's so peaceful. And that peace is people are drawn to that. It's like when you visit Assisi and the monks are chanting, right, in the lower basilica in the front of St. Francis's tomb. You're just drawn to it. It's just so peaceful.
It settles the spirit, the agitation. So on Sunday afternoons, people are invited to our Vespers followed by Rosary, at 5 o'clock every Sunday. And they'll come and they'll just say, I'm just sitting back here and I just didn't even use my office book. I just rested in the Lord. I didn't need to exactly follow everything.
Just a quick funny story about your music. When Deacon Dom and I were getting ready to come here before Christmas, we always have beautiful music on, talk to, Alexa, play this, play that. And we asked to play a Catholic Christmas music.
Oh.
You guys came up.
Yay.
And then they say the name. I'm like, look, it's the Eucharist on Alexa. I love it. It's great. Yeah, woohoo! It was so much fun.
Way to go, cheerleader.
Yeah. No, it's just really the peace, and you try to explain that to people. And when my husband and I decided to spend more time in Italy and where we settled this little town, I remember we were walking around one day, and this lovely young couple that lived 2 doors down, this woman, sweet lady with a beautiful child, and her husband, really cute couple. And she asked me in broken English, I don't understand. You're from the big city. You're from America, blah, blah, blah. And you come here in this area, there is nothing. And I said, exactly. Right? Exactly. There's nothing but rolling hills and little villages and Jesus everywhere. Yeah.
You know, we need to value silence and therefore contemplative prayer more. And people think contemplative prayer is a gift. It's something you work towards, and God will gift you every time you pray. And we never need to worry about what He's doing with that. We have to put ourselves in that. And silence is a very important thing.
And that's a challenge for me. I know it's a shock, but it's a challenge for me.
Right.
Father John Ricardo says he wants to see me go do a silent retreat. He said if it happens, I'm going to call the Vatican. We'll see. But
Teresa,
now
God would give you the graces.
He would.
We'd all be shocked.
Yeah. I love you.
Love you.
You are great. Thank you so much for helping to keep me humble. Yeah. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You are
Teresa,
a joy.
Always.
What is the website
bless
for
you.
your beautiful sisters if people want more information?
It's just sistersofmary.org.
All right.
All lowercase, all like one word.
Sistersofmary.org.
That's
Give
it.
Sister JoJo a round of applause. We'll be right back.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
Brothers and sisters, we got to tell the truth in this country. For heaven's sakes, I wouldn't want to go to a synagogue and find that they were having a Muslim service. I wouldn't want to go to a mosque and run into a Baptist service. I don't want to go to a Baptist church and find out that they're having Mass. We've got to be honest to ourselves. We've got to be what we are. I'd rather a good old-fashioned, honest agnostic than a phony Christian any day of the week. There are reluctant agnostics. There are atheists who are searching for God, and they may find Him. But somebody who says they're doing something in the name of God, in the name of Christ, and God and Christ have nothing to do with it, is violating this commandment. I am the Lord your God. You shall not take my name in vain.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Whom does Jesus invite to enter the kingdom of heaven? The Catholic Catechism tells us He invites all to enter. Originally announced to the Israelites, the kingdom is now open to people of every nation. But to enter that kingdom, one must accept Jesus' word. The kingdom belongs to the poor and lowly, with whom Jesus identifies. The poor and lowly means those who have accepted the kingdom with humble hearts. To the little ones, the Father is pleased to reveal what is hidden from the wise and the learned. Jesus makes active love toward the poor of every kind a condition for entering the kingdom. Jesus invites sinners into the kingdom and speaks of the joy in heaven over the repentance of just one sinner. Jesus' invitation to the kingdom comes in the form of parables. To enter the kingdom, mere words are not enough, however. Deeds are also demanded. One must give everything. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Welcome back. We're on the Good News Cruise 2025, and what a lineup we've had this morning, eh? What do you think, friends? Great lineup? So we started out this special edition of Catholic Connection as we're wrapping up this cruise on a Friday morning. We started out, of course, with the amazing Father Josh Johnson from Ascension Press in the Diocese of Baton Rouge. And then we moved on to the wonderful Immaculate Ilibagiza, and then Sister JoJo, as I call her, Sister Joseph Andrew from Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. And now Father Michael Schmitz from Ascension Press, Bulldog Catholic, and, of course, the Good News Cruise.
Yeah.
Give it up for Father Michael Schmitz in the house. Woo!
Thank you.
My sympathies regarding the Vikings. Not really, but I just had to say that. you didn't hear
Oh, I know about this. Yes. No, I appreciate that. Thank you for your genuine
sympathies.
I can tell.
Yeah, I'm really sad for
really
my
bad
friend
for
Kelly
me.
Walquist from Minnesota is probably listening right now and saying, T, you had to bring that up.
No, you have to bring it up because I think that, well, a couple things. One is I will consistently confess that I am the definition of a fair weather fan. Like I'm a committed fair weather fan. So if the Vikings are winning, I'll cheer for them. If they're losing, they're dead to me. Like I think that's the smartest way to live. I think that's the best way to live. People say no, you need to be loyal to your team, and I will say this. I will say I'm as loyal to them as they are to us. So if someone else pays them more money, they'll go somewhere else.
Right.
And so if they are winning, I'll cheer for them. If they're losing, I do not know you. And no, family's different. Family, win or lose, you love them. This is not a family. This is a franchise, and different rules.
Exactly.
Different thing, different rules.
But I think what was fun is being on a cruise like this. Is we were talking with Sister Joseph Andrew about the great balance that a Good News Cruise offers you, especially as a married couple. You can obviously hear beautiful talks from you and people like Immaculate and Father Josh Johnson and Sister and so many other speakers that we have really great messaging. Then you can go do a zip line, and you can go to the beach, and you can go to the dance party or whatever, and you can go watch a game.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's good.
It was a lot of fun. I kind of lost my voice. I've been struggling with my voice since we just came from the Sikh National Conference, the Focus National Conference.
Amen.
And
love
before,
Focus.
Yeah, it was so good. But right before my keynote, I was like backstage. I can't breathe. I can't talk. And then ever since then, it's been like at that place. And that night, the Lions versus Vikings, there were so many people. In order to talk, you had to kind of yell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to bed with a little sore throat, and it's kind of just hung on.
Well,
you can probably hear it right now.
No, you sound fine. But
thanks,
let me give you
Teresa.
some advice as someone who's been on the air since dirt.
Drink more coffee.
Well, coffee, yes, helps. And I was talking to Nate Wine from Corporate Travel because he had a problem with his voice. He was hoarse and he was whispering. I said, do not whisper.
He was a horse whisperer?
He was a horse whisperer, yeah. And there was a horse on the ship, his horse. No,
Wait, was that your joke? Did I steal it?
No,
okay,
it's not my joke. I was just saying he was hoarse, and I told him not to whisper.
Gotcha.
Because if you whisper, it strains your vocal cords.
So even more horse whisperer.
Yes. So don't whisper, which I just did, which I shouldn't do because it strains your vocal cords.
I'll avoid that.
Okay. All right. Great to see you again.
Same. Well, actually, even really good to see you.
Yes.
The last couple times we've talked, it's been the virtual conversation.
Right.
Over the phone.
Yes, over the phone. So welcome back. And let's talk about why, because you're pretty dedicated and you work very closely with John Hale and Corporate Travel.
Yes.
Why these events mean so much to you.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of my favorite things to do as a priest, I think that, it was Father Josh who, in his homily, one of the daily masses, he mentioned that he was talking with a young man who was discerning the priesthood, and he asked him, what are you most looking forward to? And the answer typically is something like, saying mass, hearing confessions, preaching, whatever. And this young man said that he was most looking forward to marriage prep, and that he had never heard that answer. Father Josh had never heard that answer, and he was just moved by it. And that's something that I did not anticipate that, but it's one of my favorite things to do. And one of the couples that I have worked with, at one point I've known him and her for years. He had a conversion in college, and so I remember we got done with marriage prep, and they were in their marriage, and they were kind of sharing with other couples about their experience of marriage prep. And one of the biggest compliments that he had given me, he said, Father Mike, a lot of people said they appreciate your preaching, but he says, I think what you do best, because he's heard me for years, I think what you do best is marriage prep is the best thing you do.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And so it's on my heart a lot. And so to be able to do marriage prep is one thing, but this is marriage post. And
yes, that's a good point.
Because there are some skills, and I really believe that in those first years of marriage, if you do a lot of really hard work with marriage and like, how do we communicate? How do we resolve things? How do we really learn how to listen to each other and let go of things and forgive each other? Then you're setting yourself up for a lot of really good habits. And so one of the things I always tell our couples is, if you can in those first years become expert problem solvers with each other. So like, not just how to resolve conflict, but how to make decisions together in a way that you both feel like you're winning, and you feel like then you'll be able to face any season, because all the hard seasons are going to come. Of course, all the disastrous seasons are going to come. But if you know how to solve problems together really well, then you're going to be great. And so I encourage them, we would kind of walk through how to do this. But even if you're not good at that after a bunch of years of marriage, you can learn.
Right.
And so that's the great thing about this, is to be able to come to see couples who are across the board. Some who are like, no, we did that. We're good to go.
Yeah.
And others who are like, no, we're still struggling with figuring out how to do that. It's wonderful to be on the Good News Cruise, because it's couples from all across the board when it comes to areas of their health and their marriage and their health of their relation with the Lord. And so there's always something to offer that can help.
And you know this as a priest, when you're giving a homily, or a Deacon Dom when he's giving a homily, you don't know where everyone is at spiritually. Even if people are in mass every week, or they're doing retreats, there's going to be a person, the couple that may be doing extremely well, as you just said, Some are kind of like okay, and others who are really great, but they want to strengthen it. And something like this has really something for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
It totally does.
Yeah.
It is. I imagine that, again, the in-studio audience right now could probably attest to this, that recognition that only no matter what it is, no matter where you're at, there is a depth. There's always, every one of us, there's always room to grow for every one of us. And so you can be in a great place of health, and yet there's more health. You could be in a place of desperation. Well, there's help. And I think there's, and I think it was John Paul II who had said that what did he say? The battle between good and evil finds its center in the relationship between husband and wife.
Wow.
That as marriages are strengthened, the culture is strengthened, and good is winning. But as that's one of the reasons, and he would point out that one of the reasons why the culture wars.
Is that the same quote? As a family goes, so goes the world. Was that a different one from John Paul II?
Maybe same.
It's the same
ballpark.
Same ballpark.
Yeah, but a different thing he said, because that recognition of what's the attack on? Typically, it's on all those areas that touch on the differences between men and women. And so we can see that recently, and that's one of the reasons I think couples can say why it's worthwhile to take time away to say, let's work on our relationship. Right. The most important relationship of our lives after our relationship with the Lord is us. And so why not invest the time? Why not invest this energy and the financial investment to be able to say, let's make this as best as it possibly can be.
And have fun along the way.
Yeah, because that's the thing is there's always room to grow. And if it's no, we're healthy. Okay, are we as healthy as we can be? Maybe not. Are we as joyful as we can be?
Let's
Maybe
pick
not.
this up after the break. You hear the music.
Forward.
That's our signal. Got to wrap it up. We'll be right back. Another segment with Father Mike to wrap up the show this morning. We are on the Good News Cruise. We'll be right back.
It's time for Family Man with Dr. Gregory Popchak.
It's important for kids to have chores so they can learn how to contribute to a healthy, happy, peaceful household. But does your family make a little time every day to work together? Working together as a family gives parents an opportunity to model healthy attitudes toward work and stewardship and learn the basics of responsibility. Doing dishes together, cleaning up the family room together each evening, folding laundry together are just a few examples. But whatever the actual task, the important thing is that family work rituals help a family learn to be a strong team. That's one reason family rituals for working together are such an important part of Catholic family life. To discover more ways your family can celebrate the liturgy of domestic church life, check out the newest editions of Parenting with Grace and visit CatholicCounselors.com. I'm Dr. Greg Popchak, but you can call me Family Man.
To discover more ways faith can enrich your life, visit CatholicCounselors.com.
The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jangle.
What does the term discernment of spirits mean? Father Timothy Gallagher writes, discern comes from the Latin discernere, which means to separate things according to their qualities, to distinguish between one thing and another. In this case, to identify one spiritual reality as different from another. Discernment is the process of separating spiritual movements and looking at the origin of each and the thoughts connected to it. Father Gallagher continues, the phrase of spirit describes what is to be discerned, that is, which spiritual realities are to be distinguished, one from the other. The word spirits, as Ignatius uses it in this context, indicates those affective stirrings of the heart, joy, sadness, hope, fear, peace, anxiety, and similar feelings with their related thoughts that influence our life of faith and progress toward God.
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net.
What a great studio audience we have here in the conference center on the Oasis of the Seas. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're adorbs, totes adorbs. It is fun doing the show with a live audience. I don't get to do that too often, except in this event, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm an extrovert.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never, ever would have guessed.
Isn't that shocking?
I'm shocked.
And so I love people, and so I kind of feed off the the energy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's really kind of fun. So usually when I'm doing my show at home, I'm seeing all of you lovely people, but I don't get to see them in person now, so it's fun. So, of course, Father Michael Schmitz, amazing. The Bible in a year, Catechism in a year. Oh, my goodness, you're doing so much great work with Adult Catholic and Focus, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. And Father Mike joins us every year and has a great partnership, as do me and Deacon Dom, with the amazing corporate travel. I can't say enough about them, right?
I'm really so grateful.
Yeah, they do such. This is you missed this. This is how organized they are. So, I gave away some of my marriage books earlier, Intimate Graces, and I took my business cards, and I put them under random. Jenna from Corporate Travel helped me spread them around the room randomly. And Sue got nervous. Sue Giesling, who is incredible, one of the organizers of the cruise, she got worried that there was something that it didn't look organized enough, and so she picked up most of the cards because she didn't want it to look messy during the show. That's how particularly that they're so precise, and there's so much work. So they're great. But you mentioned earlier about marriage prep, that you, in addition to everything you do with young people, everything you do with evangelization and your great work with your homilies are wonderful. Your Holy Family Feast Day homily, Dominic and I watched it. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really, really great. You're a great speaker. But marriage prep means a lot for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expand on that, please.
See, I can't do that when we're talking on the phone. It can't just like
right.
Sit up I could look at you and be like,
okay.
You're right. And
yes, you fill in the blanks.
Is there a question there, Teresa? No.
And your point is?
No, it is. One of the reasons is because again, it is. Well, you have like that John Paul II quote about how the line between good and evil passes through the family, the relationship between husband and wife, but there's also the individuals. I mean, that's the thing is like we can be like talking culture stuff, but really when it comes down to it, we're talking about individuals, we're talking about couples, we're talking about families, and so there is a personal care. Like I want every one of the students that I work with who are in marriage prep to be ready for the storms. I mean, it is one of those situations where I was telling them about this. Our students about this sometime this last fall, and I said I love marriage prep. I don't like weddings as much. Now I usually try to ham it up and be like, and I don't like weddings, boom boom, kind of like wah wah, and just to be dramatic.
Yeah.
But I do like them both. But that recognition of maybe it's a certain realist up in me that in the prep we're doing work, in the marriage or the wedding day there's a celebration. And every time I see the celebration, they're so excited and they're so ready to go. I'm like, but I know what's coming. Like I know. I mean, we don't know what's coming. And that's the thing is like, you're so excited on this day, but you don't have any idea what's coming.
Right.
I know what's coming is storms. What's coming are crosses. What's coming is suffering. What's coming is and that's not the wrong thing. It's the right thing because why? What is marriage? It's not a self-fulfillment project. It's not where I go to be blissful for us. It's where I go to die.
But people think that, though, often going into it.
Well, that's the thing is like, so whenever we have Steubenville Youth Conferences are, for teens, and they come away, and the last day of the Steubenville Youth Conference, they usually have a vocation call. And so I go up and I invite all the religious sisters to come up on stage, and any young women who kind of maybe even feel some kind of spark, call to religious life, come forward, and we pray over them and give them some advice, and then they go back, and then I call the priests up and say, any young men who have this kind of draw to maybe seminary to priesthood, come forward, and before we pray over them, I have some pieces of advice. And one of the pieces of advice we give is, I've noticed this when it comes to the young women, but also mostly young men, is when they come forward on Sunday, one of the things many of them are tempted to do on Monday is stop praying. And part of it is just normal, but part of it's because I had the vocation call, I was all excited about this, maybe a possibility God's calling me to be a priest. But now I think about it, I don't want to. And so if I stay away from prayer, then God can't make me be a priest. Right? That kind of that sense. And so I'm like, okay, guys, because why? Because to be a priest is hard. And so what I'll do is I'll ask all the dads in the crowd, say any biological or adoptive fathers, stand up. And so all the dads stand up. And I ask the dads, okay, dads, do you love being a dad? Yeah. Is it being a dad joyful? Yeah. Do you are there some days where you just can't imagine anything else? Yeah. Okay. Is being a dad really hard? Yeah. Is it really difficult? Yes. Does it some days feel like it's going to kill you? Yes. And so I turn to the priest standing behind me and say, okay, Priests, your spiritual fathers. Do you love any priest? Yeah. Does it bring you joy? Yeah. Does it give you life? Yeah. Is it really hard? Yes. Does it feel like it's going to kill you? Yes. So I say to the young man, okay, here's the deal. Pick your poison. It's either you die here or you die there. Because that's what Jesus' call is, right? Jesus' call is, come follow me and die to yourself so as to live for him. And so that recognition of that's what we're preparing in marriage prep is that sense of what did Jesus say at the end of the Sermon on the Mount? He said, those who hear these words of mine, put them into practice, like the wise person who builds their house on solid rock, right? The winds come, the rains fall, the winds blow and buffet at the house, but it stays standing, versus those foolish people who heard the words, built their house on sand, didn't act on them, and the winds came, the rains fall, buffeted the house, and it collapsed, completely ruined. The note that we always like to point out is, whether you built your house on sand or on rock, the storms come, the rains fall, the winds blow and buffet the house. And so, okay, you started out great with marriage prep, and you want to live open to life, and you want to have this where you're praying with as a family, you're going to mass as a family, all these things. That is great. That's on the rock. That doesn't spare you from the suffering, the sorrow, the storms. And when they embrace that, it's like, okay, that's so consoling for me.
Right.
Because, again, we have no idea. We have no idea what the storms are going to be or the sufferings are going to be. We just know that they're going to be.
Do you think sometimes, and by the way, if you're just joining us, you most likely recognize the voice of Father Michael Schmitz from Ascension Press and Good Bulldog Catholic, and also the Good News Cruise 2025. He's been with us and will be joining us for the Good News Cruise 2026, goodnewscruise.com. Sometimes, I'm not saying you do this, but sometimes I think we say that marriage is hard too often and that we make it a negative thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because Deacon Dom and I have been married so long, 41 years, we're just a lot more mellow. We just laugh at each other now. It's just like, okay, we don't get too upset about things. It's just like not worth it. We understand each other. Not that we're perfect. We're still growing because we're still here. But it's hard, but it's a good type of hard. Yeah. That's life.
Yeah.
Growing together as a couple in the ups and the downs, and the Romans 8:28, all things work together for good. I look back in our life, and the times that we had the suffering is the times that we grew the most. And so it's kind of like, you live in the world, anything you do, because this is not heaven, as Father John, another great priest like you, Father John Mercado says, this is not heaven. And so we're going to have struggles in our work. We're going to have struggles in other relationships. And I think we emphasize the fact that it's going to be hard, hard, hard. If it's consistently hard and there's no growth, that's problematic. Then you have to seek something else, in addition to doing something like this. But I think we need to emphasize, this is just me, I just wonder your take on this, the joy of relating to each other more.
Totally. Yes. So the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I was like, it's really tough and got ready for the storms, which is true. Because I think that there's an aspect in our culture where, largely speaking, the cultural message is, again, kind of conceive marriage as a self-fulfillment project. That's one of the reasons. Or marriage is really hard. That's why I'm going to avoid it, because I don't think that it'll be perfect. I don't think it'll be what I want it to be. I think that there's a hesitancy to embrace responsibility, because now my life is not my own anymore.
Right.
I think there's parts of those that, yes, it is a real death to self. And like I said, to ask the dads in the crowd, is it joyful? Yes. Do you love it? Yes. Does it bring you life? Yes. Is it what God made you? Yes. Like, same with the priests. Same with priesthood. Is like, go get ready for suffering, but also it's a joyful life. And so, yes, I think that there is, it's both, provided that we have that view of life that is, where Jesus says, in this world you love trouble, but take heart,
I've overcome the world. Right.
And that sense of, let's hold on to both of these things.
Balance, right?
Yeah. And it's an illusion to think that a life free of suffering is a life that any of us actually want.
Right. But to accept that and to go through it, I mean, it takes experience. I remember, I don't know if you saw this, and you probably did because you're very media savvy. A couple of years ago, there was this video, I think it was about 2 years ago, of this young woman who got her first job. I don't know if you saw it, but she actually had to get up early in the morning and go to her job in the city. And by the time she got home, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock, and she had to get ready for work the next day. And she was sitting on the couch, and she had her, she was very well coiffed, and the mascara was running. She was a mini Tammy Faye Baker, that type of thing, and she's crying into the camera, I can't believe I have to work the whole day. I get up at 6, I get there, I get back at 7, I have to make my dinner. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't know what I was thinking. I never thought having a job would be like this. And I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is how we've unfortunately brought up a lot of our teens and college students to think that life was just going to be nothing but, for them, self-fulfillment, right?
Yeah, I think that probably is maybe some of that, what I've been saying earlier, that reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
And so but when it comes to the marriage prep is that sense of let's say, here's the whole thing. I mean, here's the struggles, but even we were talking about this morning is here are some of the challenges, but you also have so much room for kindness and love and respect and joy and trust with each other that, that's one of the things I'll always walk our couples through is that sense of, okay, this is heavy. Like this is you're entering a covenant that you're risking your life. Like that sense of if the person walks away, you're still married to them. Like you're covenanted to them, even if they live in a different state. If that covenant's been established, that's real. And so talk about the heaviness of this. And point out what G.K. Chesterton had once said. Chesterton had once said that people can get so mad at the Catholic Church because the Church forces couples to promise forever. But he says, but that's what love wants to do. Love wants to promise forever. Mm-hmm. So I always tell couples, I say, well, how would it be if you came in here and I said, okay, you guys, for vows, we have 3 kinds of vows. We have the 3-year vows, the 7-year vows, and the forever vows. So don't make any big decisions, but just pray about it, talk about it. Let me know which ones you want. If someone came back and said, I like those 7-year vows, like the other person saying, are you kidding me? I don't need your 20s. I don't need you to promise me this, because love truly promises forever. In order for it to be love, it has to be forever, or else it's not true love.
That is, if you're just listening, folks, this is a cruise ship, and it happens. We have announcements. We have about a minute and a half left. We're talking with Father Michael Schmitz from Bulldog Catholic, and you worked right through that. That was really cool.
Thanks.
Good job. But wrapping up, we have about a minute and a half left. Thoughts for our listeners on why they should consider doing something like the Good News Cruise? And even next year, because it's open to other people, then married couples are welcome, but singles are welcome as well. Yeah.
Well, I would say this. I would say that as a priest, we are required to go on at least one retreat every year. And if your priest isn't going on retreat at least once a year, you would say, no, you really should, Father. Like, we really want you, not just to rest, not just to recuperate, but because in order for you to be the priest that we need you to be, we need you to go away. Yeah, but I got too many things going on. But we need you to go away. The vocation, the call to marriage and family is no less important. I remember Father Thomas Dubé had once talked about parents who can't find time to pray. He's like, Father, I just don't have enough time to pray. And he's like, fine, you don't have to pray. If you're a mom or a dad, your husband, wife, you don't have to pray. As long as you want to be a mediocre mom or a mediocre dad or a mediocre husband, mediocre wife. Same kind of thing. You want to be a mediocre priest? Go ahead, don't pray.
Yeah.
But you're not called to mediocrity. You're called to greatness. You're called to life. You're called to a joyful marriage. And so we need to take time away in order to give your vocation the attention, the energy, the time that it deserves.
Yeah, amen. Fabulous, as always. GoodNewsCruise.com. We are almost sold out for next year, Father.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we have, I think, John, how many seats do we have left? Cabins? Oh, my goodness, only 25 cabins left. And this is it. We're going to have the whole ship next year.
Yeah.
GoodNewsCruise.com. So you need to check it out. GoodNewsCruise.com. Father Michael Schmidt's website is bulldogcatholic.org, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Great job. And, of course, he's one of our speakers. And so appreciate our studio audience here today. Thank you. God bless you. See you on the ship. And EWTN, thank you so much.
People ask how they can care for older family members who can't fully care for themselves. One answer is Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care. Visiting Angels assists adults nationwide with 600 locations to continue living at home and not have to move into a nursing home. Their caregivers provide assistance in hygiene, meals, and light housework. Services are provided up to 24 hours per day, and you can select your caregiver before service begins. More information, including franchise opportunities, is on the web at visitingangels.com.
Christ is the answer, with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? and the prophets who died? And Jesus says, your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad. To which the Jews say, you are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham? And Jesus answers, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am.
How would you like to celebrate the Divine Mercy at the Shrine of the Divine Mercy in Poland on Divine Mercy Sunday? Well, you can. Steve Ray here, inviting you to join us in Poland as we follow the footprints of John Paul II, Maria Faustina, and Maximilian Kolbe. Daily Mass at the most iconic, beautiful churches and delicious local foods. Join us in April for Divine Mercy Sunday in Poland.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at avemariaradio.net.
Again, it's a final wrap-up. Thanks so much to everyone here helping us with this program. Steve Clark, my producer, Andrew Beckholm, our guests, Father Michael Schmitz, Father Josh Johnson, Sister JoJo, Sister Joseph Andrew, Immaculate Ilabagiza. What a great show it has been, and just so appreciate our studio audience. We are wrapping up our 5th annual Good News Cruise. The website is goodnewscruise.com. And if you'd like to check it out for next year, I just heard, as I mentioned before the break, from John Hale, President of Corporate Travel, we only have 25 cabins left for Good News Cruise 2026. And we have 2 concerts by Andre Bocelli next year, along with Matt Maher and Father Mike and Father John Ricardo and Archbishop Aquila and Sarah Kroger and Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, on and on. Hope to see you on the high seas. GoodNewsCruise.com. Have a great weekend. Ciao, ciao.
You've been listening to Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Catholic Connection is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Our producer is Andrew Kruchek. For copies of this program or for more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net. That's AVEMariaRadio.net. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for another edition of Catholic Connection.